Goblin launch detected.
This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. with free weekly content and free shipping on orders over $150. You can save 5% site-wide by using the promo code MTGMudsta. If you're looking for a direct way to help the channel, please consider joining my Patreon and becoming a member of the generic Goblin Gang. Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's game finds Maxim, Kuzno, and Seb rocking out in my basement jamming some games. Today, Max is continuing to play his Commodore Guff deck, keeping Oath of Teferi, Ajani Collar of Pride, Felwar Stone, Flux Channeler, Mystic Gate, and 2 Plains. I just want to play, so I'm playing my Otrimi, keeping Dreamtail Heron, Gwenna Eyes of Gaia, Swamp, Mind Leecher, Command Tower, Volrath Stronghold, and Factor Fiction. Kuzno is rocking his artifact-themed Breya deck, keeping Nim Deathmantle, Verdant Catacombs, Rogran Triome, Scalding Tarn, Inquisitor Greyfax, Arcane Signet, and Unlicensed Disintegration. Seb has brought out an oldie but goodie with Hapatra, keeping Yavimaya Cradle of Growth, Coat of Arms, Forest, Young Wolf, Verdant Catacombs, Midnight Banshee, and Smell Fear. Max wins the die roll and starts us off. He draws, plays a Plains, and passes. I just play a tap breeding pool, passing. Kuzno draws and plays a tapped Rogran Triome. Seb plays a Verdant Catacombs and cracks it, losing 1 to go and find an overgrown tomb. Max draws and plays a Mystic Gate, paying 2 for a Felwar Stone and passing. I've just got a Command Tower and I pass. Kuzno plays a Verdant Catacombs of his own and cracks it for an Underground Sea. He then pays 2 for an Arcane Signet. Seb draws, playing a Forest, and paying 2 for Hapatra. After that, they pass. Max has a Plains for turn, and has enough mana to play Commodore Guff. Once his commander is out, he upticks him to make a Wizard token, and passes to me. I've got a Woodland Cemetery, and I then tap 3 for Gwenna, passing to Kuz after that. Kuz draws and plays a Scalding Tarn, losing 1 to go and find a Tundra. He then has enough mana for Breya, who as she enters, makes 2 Thopter tokens. Seb draws and plays Yavimaya Cradle of Growth. They then go to combat and swing Hapatra at Max, dealing 2. Seb then gets to put a -1/-1 counter onto the Thopter with the Hapatra trigger and gets to make a Snake token. In their second main phase, Seb then plays a Young Wolf, and then an Expedition map, and passes. Max plays a Talisman of Progress, and then plays Ajani Collar of the Pride, and upticks the Walker to put a +1/+1 counter onto his Wizard token. He then downticks Commodore Guff to draw 2, and deal 2 to each of his opponents. Sadly, he doesn't draw into a land, and he moves to his end step, putting a loyalty counter on Ajani from the Guff trigger and passing to me. I draw and play a Swamp. I then mutate Dreamtail Heron onto Gwenna, drawing a card as it does so, and I pass after that. Kuzno's got a Xander's Lounge which comes in tapped, and then pays 3 for Inquisitor Greyfax. He then moves to combat, swinging a Thopter token at Ajani and Breya at me. Ajani takes 2, and I take 5, and after that, Kuzno passes. Seb draws and plays a Swamp. They then go to combat, hitting me with Hapatra for 2, and with the Hapatra trigger, takes out Kuzno's last Thopter and makes a Snake token. They then pass to Max. Max draws and casts Chandra Flame's Fury. He upticks Chandra to deal 2, and then downticks Guff again to draw 2 and deal 2 to each of his opponents. He finally draws into a land with a mountain, which he plays, and he then upticks Ajani on the Wizard token again and passes to me. I've got a Morphic pool for turn, and I then mutate Otrimi onto Gwenna, which untaps her and puts a +1/+1 counter onto her, plus I get to draw a card from the Heron. Going to combat, I swing my Otrimi stack at Max, and he takes the hit. In my second main phase, I then play a Dimir Signet and pass to Kuzno. Kuzno draws and continues to drop money with a scrubland. He then casts an Erdwald Illuminator and passes to Seb. Seb draws and plays a forest. They then go to combat, and Kuzno taps down Hapatra with Greyfax and makes a clue token. In their post-combat main phase, Seb then casts Smell Fear on one of the snake tokens, which has the snake and Breya fighting, and they trade. After that, Seb passes. Max draws and plays Pramicon, choosing left. He then upticks Chandra again, and once more, upticks a Johnny to make an even bigger wizard token, and passes to me. I draw and play Volrath's Stronghold. I then mutate a Glowstone Recluse onto Otrimi, drawing a card from the Heron trigger, and then put 2+1/+1 counters onto it. I then mutate a Souvenir Snatcher onto the stack, stealing Max's Felwar Stone, putting 2 more +1/+1 counters onto it thanks to the Glowstone Recluse, untapping it and putting a +1/+1 counter onto it thanks to Gwenna, and then drawing a card from the Heron. Moving to combat, Kuzno uses an unlicensed Disintegration to blow up Pramicon to stop me from just attacking him. Max in response casts a Guff Rewrites History and targets Pramicon, the Otrimi stack, Greyfax, and the Young Wolf. At this point I'm pretty sure I'm forced to shuffle everything in, including my commander, into my deck, otherwise all of my mutates will go to the command zone, so I do so. And everyone else shuffles their permanents in as well, and we start to reveal. I hit a Venonthorpe, Kuzno hits a Wishclaw Talisman, Seb gets a Cryptolith Right, and Max once more hits Pramicon again, choosing right this time. Unfortunately my Venonthorpe has Summoning Sickness, and I move through my combat step and then my second main phase, and pass to Kuzno. Kuzno draws and activates the Wishclaw Talisman, donating it to me as he goes to tutor for a card. He then casts Tivit. As it comes in, Kuzno votes for 2 treasures, while everyone votes for clues. With nothing else, he passes. Seb draws and plays Gaia's Cradle, while we discuss Fibblethip going to Segovia and just how big he'd be there, unlike everywhere else. They then play an Incremental Blight to kill the Erdwald Illuminator and shrink the Wizard token and Pramicon, while simultaneously making 3 Snake tokens. With nothing else, Seb passes. Max draws and plays an island. He then plays an Experimental Augury to proliferate, and also gets to anticipate at the same time. He then plays out Chandra, Acolyte of Flame, and downticks the Walker to recast the Augury again, proliferating even more, and getting to anticipate again. And is then able to ultimate a Johnny, making 31 cat tokens. He then wraps things up by upticking his other Chandra to deal 2 to Seb, and then passes to me. I draw and activate Wishclaw Talisman, going to hopefully find a board wipe, and giving it back to Kuzno. Sadly I realize at this point I don't have any, and I then mutate a Migratory Greathorn onto my Venonthorpe, and go to find a basic, putting into play tapped, and passing. Kuzno draws and plays a Badlands. He then activates and donates the now useless Wishclaw Talisman to Seb, and then casts Urza. Going to combat, Kuzno swings Tivit at Seb, and everyone votes to give him a treasure. Kuzno then casts a Conjurer's Closet, and moves to his end step, blinking Urza to make another Construct token as it comes back in. Seb draws and plays a Viscera Seer. They then play a Midnight Banshee, passing. Max draws and plays Oath of Teferi, exiling Pramicon until the end of turn. Max then downticks Chandra Flame's Fury to do the ultimate, and deals 10 to Seb and all of their creatures, and in response, Seb sacrifices their board to Viscera Seer to try and scribe it. Max then upticks Chandra Flame's Fury, thanks to Oath of Teferi, to deal 2 to my face, and then moves to combat. He swings a lethal amount of cats at Kuzno and Seb, and Kuzno blocks 3 cats with Urza and his constructs, and then activates Urza to spin the wheel. He reveals a misty rainforest which won't help. And he then activates Urza again, this time hitting Relic of Legends. At this point, both Kuzno and Seb die from combat, and Max moves to his second main phase. He then plays a mobilized district and moves to his end step, which has the Pramicon coming back, and he moves to pass turn. During his end step, I cast Quandrix's command to bounce Pramicon and put 2 +1/+1 counters onto my Venonthrope pile and move to my turn. I draw and cast Demonic Tutor to try and find something that'll hopefully help me kill Max. I unfortunately don't have enough mana to do anything fun or cool or even save myself, and I then play a Sanctum of Eternity. Sadly, with no board wipe in my deck, I know I'm dead to the cats, and I scoop it up. Game review time. This game was 56 minutes and 10 seconds, and boy was it an eye-opener for my deck. I love Otrimi, I love Mutate, but I don't love not having interaction. All of my cards are meant to either mutate or protect the mutates, and that's just not good enough anymore. I think I really need to examine this deck, and definitely find some space for some board wipes, and even if it's just fight cards, other ways to interact with other creatures or permanents. I want to say that Commodore Guff did fantastic this game, and Maxim did do a pretty good job of piloting him, but I'm going to put an asterisk next to that statement. I will say he had the definitive advantage of not having any interaction thrown his way outside of I think Ajani being attacked once, which really led to him establishing a good board state. He just kept casting planeswalkers that were ignored, and everyone else just attacked each other. I think Kuzno suffered from not having drawn into a lot of mana rocks. Being able to use Breya to fling things and deal with stuff on the board is really what she wants to do, and by the time he finally had Tivit out and an abundance of artifacts, she was back in the command zone and it was likely too late. Seb's Hapatra deck came out swinging early, and Hapatra's trigger definitely helped keep Breya in line by taking out those Thopters, but beyond that, they didn't really do very much. The incremental blight really just helped fill the board with Death Touch snakes, which unfortunately without fight mechanics don't really trade up well since no one will swing into them. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.